This pristine wilderness is under threat. The environmental disaster here could lead to a human apocalypse. Because locked up in the forest are reservoirs of potentially deadly contagions, some perhaps more dangerous than we've ever seen before. Ngende, 400 miles upriver from the Democratic Republic of Congo's capital, has been struck by a recent outbreak of the killer Ebola virus. It's killed 3 out of 11 patients here, but doctors fear that they've stumbled on a new virus for which there may be neither treatment nor cure.
We have to do more examination to figure out what's going on.
So the doctors just told me that one of their immediate concerns is that they are getting cases now that present symptoms that are similar to Ebola, but when they test them in the laboratory here, they're coming up negative.
This patient has Ebola symptoms, but she's tested negative. She's one of 2 victims here who may be fighting a disease never encountered before. I asked the doctor if he was worried about new diseases emerging.
Yes, indeed. We should be afraid. That was how Ebola came. It was unknown, an unknown disease. And then after tests, it turned out to be a virus.
Treatments and a vaccine for Ebola now mean that while it's often deadly, more patients do survive. But medicine will never keep up with new diseases emerging from the wilderness. The patients here did survive, but tests for known illnesses were all negative. So her disease remains a mystery. Doctors worry that more zoonotic diseases like Ebola, HIV/AIDS, SARS, MERS and COVID-19 will emerge and make that jump from animals to humans. Ngende, on the river Ruki, is deep in the Congo basin. It's accessible only by boat. But that's how a virus can travel to big cities like Mbandaka, to the country's capital Kinshasa, and into the global bloodstream. Mbandaka has been at the epicenter of this latest fight against Ebola, which killed 55 people in the province.
Here in Mbandaka, they are battling with the 5th local outbreak of the Ebola virus, which is on its 11th here in the Congo. They're getting a grip on it, they believe. But they're also concerned about finding unknown viruses that have emerged from the forest, just like Ebola.
The scientists here have limited funds, but they know their work is essential to protect their own country and the rest of humanity.
If we don't have all this in place, you can imagine the nightmare scenario where you just have a vast epidemic with many cases leading to a huge mortality and morbidity.
More than 100 new viruses have been discovered in the DRC over a decade, including many coronaviruses in bats. So it's bats that get tracked. Bats are linked to many zoonotic diseases, notably COVID-19 and Ebola.
Now we are going to put it in the capture bag. You have to be really careful, or they bite.
The virologists have told us that whilst they haven't found the Ebola virus itself inside them, they have found the antibodies. So these are in a sense a sentinel species, an early warning system for humanity.
A nip could prove fatal, start an epidemic, or worse. So could a cross-infection, from an unknown host to bats, to chickens, to children. About 80 bats are swabbed, tested for COVID and Ebola, and then the samples are sent to Kinshasa for more investigation. Most of them survive capture and are returned to the wild. The Congo's population has almost doubled in 2 decades to around 90 million. This puts the forest under strain and closes the gap between people and the new diseases that could kill them.
The scale of the destruction of the rainforest here in the Congo is not yet on the scale that we've seen in the Amazon. A great deal of it is a result of local farmers who clear the land and then farm it for a few years. The problem is that that causes fragmentation of the rainforest, increasing the surface area between the forest and humanity.
So this is the forest.
Professor J.J. Muyembe is an expert in emerging diseases. He's been tracking them since he discovered Ebola in 1976. And now he has a warning for us all.
So it's become an outbreak.
Are you afraid that there is going to be more emerging diseases coming out of the forest? Something that is perhaps spreads like COVID but kills like Ebola?
We are now in a world where new pathogens will come out that will constitute a threat for humanity. And as you know, most of these diseases emerge from Africa.
And this, in the Congo, is how viruses mostly travel.
The River Congo is the great artery that gives life to the whole nation, but it's also the route by which the results of deforestation are exported.
Like these smoked monkeys being sold for food. I film undercover because traders here in protected species fear exposure. Adams Kasinga is my guide. Once subsistence food, now bushmeat is an international luxury commodity.
Can you arrange for shipping to Europe and America?
I'm told that's no problem, there's an agency for that. A protected species, the monkey's heads and arms have to be cut off to disguise them with antelope meat.
We have experienced an influx of expatriates, mainly from Southeastern Asia, and who demand to eat certain types of meat, such as turtles, snakes, primates.
The UN estimates that some 5 million tons of wild meat are harvested every year from the Congo Basin. But the most potent source of viruses are live animals. They carry the viruses and can infect when they're butchered or petted in private zoos. Live animals and bushmeat are part of a multi-billion-dollar global trade that's a cause and a symptom of ecological disaster. Combined with logging and industrial pressure, untold numbers of potential infections could be released. And now it's as if nature has found a way to protect itself. That locked up in the armory of the forest is a weapon against the planet's most deadly threat, humankind. And if so, this abandoned palace of a long-dead dictator isn't a relic of the past. It's a vision of what the planet looks like when Mother Earth fights back.